Hello friends, and welcome back to the Creation Soapbox, brought to you by your friends here at abitoforange.com. Today we're looking at evolutionary mechanism number 2, a change in allele frequency. According to the good true believers at Berkeley, or evolution.berkeley.edu, evolution only occurs when there is a change in gene frequency within a population over time. What is a change in allele frequency? Well, let's imagine a population of beetles. Most are green, some are brown. Now this example comes directly from the Berkeley website, so I'm not coming up with a straw man here, I'm using their example to explain what they mean. A change in allele frequency, let's define our terms real quick. An allele is a variation on a gene. So let's assume that there's just one gene that codes for the color of these beetles. So both of these beetles carry that gene, but one of them carries the variation that makes it brown, and the other carries the variation that makes it green. We have similar features in ourselves. We have genes that code for eye color. One variation of that gene will make your eyes blue, one variation will make it brown, etc., etc. So an allele is a variation on a gene, and a gene is part of your DNA that codes for a physical part, some type of physically expressed feature. Frequency is the percentage of the population expressing a particular allele. When we say allele frequency, frequency is the percentage of the population expressing a particular allele. So if half of the beetles are brown and half are green, then 50% are expressing the allele for brown and half are expressing the allele for green. In the picture below here, we're imagining the number that survived compared to the total. So in this particular environment, it's beneficial to be brown. Their environment is mostly brown, and so the camouflage works. So 95% of the brown beetles will survive, 33% of the green beetles will survive, and 100% of Chuck Norris will always survive, because he's Chuck Norris. So how does allele frequency change? Method number 1, accident. And while I have doctored the picture just a little by adding Chuck D, this again is straight from the Berkeley website. One way you can change the allele frequency in a population is by accidentally stepping on a bunch of the green ones. By accidentally stepping on a bunch of the green ones, it now changes the population so that a lower percentage of the total number of beetles are expressing the allele for green. That's an evolutionary change, stepping on beetles. Or, of course, there are predators. So if birds are able to find the green ones easier because the environment allows the brown ones to hide, that again will cause a reduction in the number of green ones, and a smaller percentage of the population will be green. That's a change in allele frequency. Let's take a look at the example they give here. Suppose we count all of the beetles in a population. We determine 80% of them are green, therefore they carry the genes for green, and then 20% are brown, meaning they carry the brown genes. A year later, we come back and count again. We see that a bunch of the beetles have been stepped on or eaten. Now only 60% are carrying the gene for green, and so are green beetles, and 40% are carrying the brown genes and are brown beetles. This is not a change in genes. This is a change in gene frequency, but frequency is how many genes are there in terms of percentage of the total. One year there's 80% green, the next year it's down to 60% green. So there's been a change statistically in the population. There has not been a change genetically. Now again, this is the example given by the kids at Berkeley on evolution.berkeley.edu, and this is what they say about this example. The changing color in this example is definitely evolution. These two generations of the same population are genetically different. So after 1 year, we see that a population that was mostly green is now mostly brown. And they say this is definitely evolution. These two generations of the same population are genetically different. But that is false. They are not genetically different. They are statistically different. Genetically, they're identical. They are one population of beetles of the same species that carries two different alleles for the gene that codes for their color. The first year, they carried the genes for green and brown. The second year, they carried the genes for green and brown. There is no change in genetics, it's a change in statistics. Watch as we magically transform a population of brown and green beetles into a population of brown and green beetles. Behold the magic of evolution! Could changes in allele frequency make the Archduke of Hearts? Here's my metaphor. Start off with a deck of cards. Toss out some of the clubs and spades. There is a change in suit frequency. Now hearts make up a larger percentage of the total deck. Do that for 4.5 billion years. Is that going to create the Archduke of Hearts? Well, no. Will changes in allele frequency grow the Darwinian tree of life? No. These changes do not add any branches onto the tree. A process that does not add branches to the tree cannot be given credit for adding branches to the tree. Evolution fail! To use their example again, evolution has to account for where the beetles came from in the first place. Where did green beetles come from? Where did brown beetles come from? And this changes in allele frequency is only tracking the census information, comparing, well, in one population, what are the percentages? It's statistical information. It is census information. It is not about the genetics, and it does not create new genes. It does not create new features or species. It is not an evolutionary change. Well, I hope that clarifies for you what changes in allele frequency means and why it fails as a mechanism of evolution. Join us again next time when we look at more proposed mechanisms of Darwinian evolution and see them fail. If you want to see more of what we've got, check us out at abitoforange.com or on our YouTube channel. And as always, thanks for watching, and remember, Jesus loves you.